Crossing the English Channel via the Eurotunnel and arriving in Calais, it was time to embark on the next leg of my journey, riding to Antwerp. The route from Calais to Antwerp is typically straightforward, a direct drive of 127 miles or 204 kilometers. This would ordinarily take around 2 hours under normal traffic conditions. Having said that, nothing can prepare you for the reality of the motorway. It's long and it's incredibly boring. For miles on end, there's nothing but road stretching out in front of you, flanked by the occasional tree and wind turbine. However, the motorway is a necessary evil, a means to an end, allowing me to cover a large distance in a relatively short amount of time. However, the lack of scenic views left a lot to be desired. The ordinary vibrancy and charms of towns and cities were replaced by the dull greys of nothingness. Despite the monotony, the ride was not entirely without its merits. There was a certain tranquility to be found in the rhythm of the road and the steady hum of the bike beneath me, the wind rushing past as I navigated the endless stretch of highway. As I neared Antwerp, the monotony of the motorway slowly gave way to bustling cityscape. The sight of a city with its historic buildings and vibrant culture was a welcoming stark change to the long, uneventful ride. After a long day of riding, I found myself yearning for a rest. The motorway had been tiring and my body was screaming for a break. I decided to heed its call and I began searching for a campsite where I could lay my head for the night. However, it was already 8 PM and my chances of finding an open campsite were starting to slim. Fortunately, second time lucky, I did manage to stumble one where the reception was just closing as I arrived. As I rode around the campsite navigating through all the various options to sleep, I stumbled across an interesting spot under an abandoned windmill. The location held a certain rustic charm that appealed to me, unlike the loud music seeping from the supermarket next door. However, setting up camp alone under the towering windmill was surprisingly therapeutic, the solitude providing me with the time to reflect on the day's journey and the challenges I'd overcome and the excitement of what lay ahead. I got out my stove and I started to make food, with the flames dancing in the dark, casting long shadows around the camp. Dinner was a simple affair, military rations, a welcome contrast to the cold night. As I sat there gazing up at the windmill, I couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness at its dilapidated state. And yet here I was, wondering how someone could put so much love and care into a building, such a beautiful cultural icon, only for another to let it rot away in the shadow of a newly built supermarket. Most of all, I thought about how nonsensical it is that we fear change and mourn the past. Perhaps one day, I thought, a larger windmill will tower over the disused supermarket, and a traveller such as myself will also sit beneath it, mourning its life. Or perhaps, I thought, I was just very tired.
Taunting me.
I crawled into my sleeping bag with the windmill casting a protective shadow over me. The stars served as my nightlight and the distant songs of drunk partygoers became my lullaby. Tomorrow would indeed be a long day, but for now, under the open sky, it was time to rest. So last night I couldn't work out why I was so cold, and I just found out that I had slept with my sleeping bag inside out. Look how tired I look. I look like a lunatic. Good job I got my tinfoil hat. Waking up in the morning, I felt a wave of tiredness wash over me. The previous day's ride had taken its toll, and my body was demanding more rest. But duty called and I had to get back on the road. You know, they say the best way to wake up isn't coffee, but attempting to navigate your motorcycle around the labyrinth streets of Europe. It's like a high-stakes game of Pac-Man, where the ghosts are delivery vans and the power pellets are incorrect turns. True to form, I got lost a few times, taking wrong turns and ending up in quaint little streets that were littered with train tracks. And eventually I did find my way onto the familiar monotony of the motorway. About an hour into my ride, the skies decided to join in on the fun. Raindrops began to fall, each drop a cold reminder of the unpredictable nature of road trips. Seeing the rain starting to pick up, I thought it was best to pull into a petrol station. After all, they say that the journey matters more than the destination. But I'd rather not make my journey soaking wet. Luckily for me, before I embarked on this journey, Oxford luckily sent me a waterproof suit, which I decided to don preemptively. Now, these overalls are a lifesaver in the rain, but they can be a bit of a challenge to get into, especially when you're in a hurry. As I hopped around on one foot, trying to get my leg into the suit, I felt something squishy underneath my boot. Unbeknownst to me, I'd stepped in a fresh pile of dog poo, a classic case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. My foot got stuck halfway in the suit leg, and by the time I realised what happened, it was too late. I yanked my foot out, smearing dog poo all the way up my leg. The smell hit me like a punch in the face, a potent mix of wet dog and, well, you know. I stood there, one leg in the suit, the other covered in poo, processing what just happened. The absurdity of the situation hit me, and I most likely would have started laughing. Unfortunately for me, my body had other ideas and I started to vomit everywhere. And so there I was, standing at a petrol station, covered in vomit and dog poo, semi-laughing like a madman. And if anyone had seen me, they would have thought I had lost my mind. But well, ladies and gentlemen, it turns out we all have limits in life. And mine is apparently being caked in dog shit. I have just spewed and projectile vomited all over the car. And I feel awful. Ugh. I can't stand the smell of dog poo. I feel like I can still smell it. Ugh, my stomach hurts. Oh my god. It was so awful. It was so awful. Whoever did this, you're an asshole. It seems that my breakfast decided to take an unplanned detour. But let's not let that be a waste. Instead, let's talk about something that's never a waste, making a donation to the Northwest Air Ambulance. This incredible charity is the reason that I'm on this wild vomit dog poo-filled journey. They work continuously to provide life-saving services, and every penny that we can raise for them counts. And so, whilst my breakfast may have been wasted, your donation certainly won't be. You'll be helping to save lives and keep this amazing service flying high. You can find the link to donate in the description below. And remember, every bit helps. Now let's turn this messy morning into a more meaningful one as I jump back on the motorway. Embarking on my motorcycle from the charming city of Antwerp, I set my sights on Herschel's, a lively Danish port town. The journey promised to be filled with riveting landscapes, winding roads, and the thrill of the open road beneath me. The plan was to take the ferry across to Norway from Herschel's, a voyage that would offer magnificent views of the North Sea and a well-deserved break from the saddle. Unfortunately, due to the morning's unexpected and rather messy detour, time had slipped away from me. With a heavy heart, I realised I wouldn't be able to make it to Herschel's in time. However, one of the most important rules of the road is to adapt and overcome. And so instead of pushing myself to the brink, I decided to break up the journey and stop at a campsite on the Danish border. It was a chance to rest, regroup and clean off any remaining evidence of my less than stellar start. And whilst it wasn't part of the original plan, this pause in the journey was a reminder that sometimes the best stories are the ones that are unplanned. After all, it's not just about the destination, it's about enjoying the ride, even if it does involve a little bit of vomit along the way. In the meantime, let's not forget why I'm doing this, and that is to raise money for an incredible charity that receives no government funding whatsoever, and that is the Northwest Air Ambulance. Without their services, so many bikers' lives would be lost every year. And so please do give generously if you are in a position to do so, and in the meantime, I'll see you in a few more days. My name's Safi Sprocket, signing off.
This one was completely my fault.